everybody, and welcome to this little vlog of mine. So this will be a vlog about Avengers Infinity War. I think right now is a pretty good time. Most of all the big names probably got theirs out there already, and it's somewhat less of a spoilery, somewhat time period. Not really. I mean, spoilers still a major thing if you haven't seen the movie yet. And a lot of people, despite how much money it's made, have not seen the movie yet. And if you haven't seen the movie yet, I'm going to be spoiling because it's really hard to talk about this movie without giving away spoilers for anything. If you're just looking for overall opinions or just simple reviews of the movie, this is a good movie. If you're at least even the smallest bit invested in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, best by like one character, then go see this movie. You'll probably see that one character, as long as they're not Hawkeye, Ant-Man, or Wasp, who are not in the movie, which leads to another set of jokes. Like they're making like they're making like the Team Thor jokes again with Ant-Man and Wasp, especially considering the fact that their movie is next sometime later this year. Anyway, we'll be talking about Avengers Infinity War, not about the characters who weren't there. Maybe we'll talk about that later. But basically, overall, go see the movie if you haven't seen it. The rest of this video, starting right now, will be spoilers. I'll give like a few seconds for those people who want to get out. You gone? Okay, let's keep going for all of you sticking around. Like the one person who's still watching this video, which is not really a video, more of a long, rambly bit of stretch. I'll try my best to stay focused. But anyway, let's talk about Avengers Infinity War. So, the plot immediately kicks off. I'm going to give a bit of a synopsis for everyone just to catch up with my own thought process. Anyway, plot immediately kicks off after the ending to Thor Ragnarok, where Thanos shows up and attacks the Asgardian refugee ship, for lack of a better term for it. The Thanos attacks, pretty much kills everybody, steals the Tesseract in order to get the Space Stone, kills Loki as the first major kill, technically second major kill, because the first named character to actually die is Heimdall. And right before his death, Heimdall sends the Hulk to Earth to act as a warning messenger to basically tell everybody that Thanos is coming. It sends them to Doctor Strange, primarily because I believe that Thor thinks that Strange can either do something, considering what he did at Thor Ragnarok, or that that Strange can at least get the whole band together. Anyway, Bruce is back on Earth and somehow has his memories as the Hulk. I guess Thanos still left that good of an impression, considering he literally beat the Hulk's ass in the opening scene. And he warns everybody that Thanos is coming. Strange goes to get Stark, and that kicks off the first subplot. After the first major opening fight scene, Strange, Stark, and Peter Parker, Spider-Man, are headed off into space because Strange has been captured by the Ebony Maw, who is the most notable of Thanos' Black Order group, while Bruce Banner, still on Earth, uses the cell phone from Civil War, the post-credit scene of Civil War, to call Captain America and get him involved because the Black Order are still after the Infinity Stones, and Vision has one stuck in his head, the Mind Stone. So Cap goes to save Vision and Wanda, who are actually holding a rather interesting romantic fling, and been holding one for 2 years now, apparently. And, they save Vision and meet up with War Machine in order to make a plan about what to do about the Vision. And this eventually leads them all to Wakanda for the final battle. Anyway, out in space, the Guardians come across Thor's destroyed ship and manage to find a still alive Thor despite all the death, debris, and the fact he's literally floating in space. They help Thor, and basically the group breaks up. One half goes after Thanos to stop him from getting the Space Stone. Of course, they fail. The Reality Stone. That's the Reality Stone, Red's Reality Stone. And Thor goes to build a new weapon that can kill Thanos, because he's officially driven to murder the fuck out of Thanos for basically murdering everyone else that he knows and loves. So Thor, Rocket, and Groot head out to make the new weapon, and the remaining Guardians, Star-Lord, Gamora, Mantis, and Drax head out to go stop Thanos. They fail, and Thanos captures Gamora because Gamora knows where the Soul Stone is. And so he and her go off to get the Soul Stone. She doesn't really have a choice because he's captured Nebula and is torturing her. But Nebula manages to get out and send a message to the remaining Guardians to go to Titan, because that's where Thanos is going to meet up with them all in order to get the Space Stone from Strange. But in the meantime, Stark and the group have managed to kill them all and are on Titan, basically setting up an ambush for Thanos. But they meet the Guardians, and then they decide to pile around and beat the crap out of Thanos. So basically, we have our two groups, at least three groups, and for the fourth subplot, we have Thanos' quest to get the stones. So basically, Thanos is basically the main character of the movie. Like, we have all our Avengers together, but this is basically Thanos, the movie featuring the Avengers. Because he has the most emotional scenes, the most emotional stakes, all that kind of stuff. Basically, from a writing perspective, he's the main character. So, Thanos is on a quest. They change his primary motivations. I didn't finish with the overall plot synopsis. I'm rambling already. So, we have our three groups and Thanos' fourth subplot, and this all coalesces in two major big-ass fight scenes, one in which the remaining Black Order members assault Wakanda in order to get their hands on the Mind Stone, one of the two remaining Soul Stones left this time in the Space Stone, while Thanos goes to reclaim the Space Stone from Titan. This leads, of course, to the big Battle of Wakanda that we see in most, if not all, the trailers, which, honestly, I do love the Battle of Wakanda. It's a really cool fight scene, a really cool action scene. It's good to see some of our characters and whatnot. Hell, even Thor shows up after he manages to make his weapon, shows up at the Battle of Wakanda, and there's some fun moments there between, Groot, Rocket, and, some of the Avengers, like Rocket and Bucky, have a fun moment, and Steve Rogers has a fun moment with Groot. And, Thor and Captain America catch you up, like, oh, you got a haircut. It's like, oh, you copied my beard. Like, oh, that's actually pretty cool to see. Like, I love the little casual bits. I know you're in the middle of a giant fight, but I just kind of love these casual bits between the Avengers. That basically says that they have a deep personal relationship that they can just stop for 5 minutes and go, oh, hey, nice, you got a haircut. It's just a thing that I really enjoy superhero works, where they're just taking a break from all the fighting. Like, everyone remembers that scene in Avengers 2, where just sitting around after they got their hands back on the Loki staff, which held the Mind Stone, and they're all just sitting around, chatting it up. Even had a little fun moment where he tried to lift Thor's hammer. I just love moments like that in superhero works, any superhero work, honestly. Just like fun little casual bits. And despite the fact this movie doesn't really have that many fun little casual bits, I do appreciate the fun little casual bits that there are there, which are basically only a few minutes before we have to get right into the next big hoo-ha-ha, because Thanos is on a serious quest, because Thanos. Anyway, the fight scene that I really do love is basically Iron Man, Strange, Spider-Man, and the remaining Guardians, minus Gamora, are all fighting the fuck out of Thanos, and it is a really cool scene. I like it because it's a more focused fight, and there are not so many players running around and a big army going around. It's a more focused, like, multi-on-one that I think is the most in line with the original Infinity Gauntlet storyline, because that was a big multi-on-one, everybody stopped Thanos kind of situation where you already had the stones, but in this case it's a whole big multi-on-one, stops Thanos from getting the stones, and they'll get the Infinity Gauntlet. And there's a moment that people criticize later, but I will talk about that in a second. So, eventually Thanos gets his hands on all the gems, and does the famous snap that wipes out half the universe and leads to the most heartbreaking scene in these movies so far, where we get to see a large number of our main characters just fizzle away into dust. Like, if you go on Twitter now and you look this shit up, there are a lot of kind of jokes and memes about people just turning into dust and fading away. Like, I've seen one with Scooby-Doo, I've seen one with random characters from different TV shows, I've seen one, actually a video based around Sonic's at AM where Tails turns to dust in Sonic's arms, and I'm just like, damn, people, that's supposed to be traumatic, you're making it into a meme, which is the internet's immediate response to most forms of trauma, is to make it into a meme to make it funny. Anyway, so movie ends with Thanos' ultimate victory. Thanos wins. Yay? Okay, so let's talk about major players and the major player Thanos. So basically, this is the movie where Thanos finally gets off his ass and does his damn job and pretty much wins. And so probably it was a good thing he set his ass in that chair for 10 years. Anyway, Thanos in this movie is the main character. They changed his motivations and whatnot from the original comic. For those of you unaware, Thanos in the original comic is trying to make out slash date slash get with. They never really explain his full romantic intent, but he's romantically intent to be with the living embodiment of death itself in the Marvel Universe, Lady Death, who also has a thing for his son currently and is also in an on again off again thing with Deadpool. So Death gets the hell around in the Marvel Cinematic in the Marvel Universe, but because they haven't introduced basically any of the Marvel cosmic stuff in the cinematic universe, it's understandable that they would just skip overlay Death because there'll be so much going into with Eternity, Infinity, Master Hate, Lord Order, the Elders. Even though the Elders have shown up in the cinematic universe, they're not within the same roles as the original incarnations, and are basically they're just the names of the characters, not the characters themselves. Similar to how Ego is treated in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, which honestly it does work. I doubt the Elders would make a lot of sense in this universe, except for just being really eccentric assholes. And you know how Ego worked in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 because Guardians 2 is a really good movie and a very emotional one. Well, this one probably second most emotional to this one, considering all the themes that go on there. But we're not talking about Guardians 2. We're talking about Thor. We're talking about Thor Ragnarok. We're talking about Thanos. So Thanos' big quest, and there is a video made by Writing Lessons. I might put that in the description, where he basically describes Thanos' role in the movie as wanting to be daddy of the universe, and not in a sexual way. Like basically in literal terminology, Thanos wants to take responsibility for the entire universe, and especially considering especially with Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther, those are literally two movies about two dudes overcoming their belief perceptions of their father when they learn the truth, but still choose to respect the man even though the man made mistakes. Basically, just accepting that their fathers were human, that they didn't make mistakes, and that they have, and it's in their right slash responsibility to help change the legacy of their family slash country slash the world. Which, man, Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther are very similar movies when you get right down to themology. Like, not overall themology, but, character themology, at least. Their two respective character journeys. Anyway, especially considering the fact that a lot of these movies are about, people growing up, becoming their own people, and that Thanos will say, like, no, you're a child. You're going to do what I tell you to do, and I'm going to kill out the universe, so sit your ass down. Like, basically, Thanos. I'm surprised I haven't seen this joke yet, where Thanos is Kratos, or at least, Kratos is Thanos. Especially considering the body count thing. From the Dad of War game. I am rambling too much in this. But yeah. So, Thanos basically wants to daddy the universe, take responsibility for everything, and become a detached father figure for all of existence. At least according to writing movies. I do agree with them, at least in the broad sense. I don't believe that's the overall themology of the cinematic universe at this point. I just believe that is Thanos' themology, especially considering the fact that, his servants are called the children of Thanos. He calls people my child. He does all these daddy things. He tries to have a heart-to-heart talk with Gamora and tries to daddy her. It actually leads to a funny moment where him and Star-Lord, when he captures Gamora, and she says, "You're a boyfriend. I like you," before he teleports with Gamora away. But he says that to Star-Lord. It's honestly a pretty fun scene. And one of those little casual bits that I find enjoyable, even those situations actually quite horrifying. And, basically Thanos wants to daddy the universe, and nobody wants Thanos to be their daddy. Not even Gamora, who Thanos is her adoptive daddy. Nebula, who really doesn't want Thanos to be her daddy. Thanos is a terrible father anyway. He shows obvious favoritism. Basically, the whole movie is like, Nebula's a piece of shit, Nebula's a piece of shit, Nebula's a piece of shit. And even when Nebula says, "You should have just killed me," he's like, "That'll be a waste of parts." It's like, dear God, man, you don't even have any sympathy towards your this. She's technically your daughter too. You do not give any of the fucks about her at all. Like you hear, "Oh, the Maw's dead. That's a shame." He still succeeded in death. Oh, they're dead. That's a shame. I'll still continue my plan, but I will mourn them slightly. Nebula, fuck you. You're a waste of parts. I just find that funny. Like he's so somewhat amicable to everyone that isn't Nebula. That is hilarious. Like basically Thanos as again as I said earlier, he's surprisingly amicable to most people. He comes in with a soft, gentle tone. Like he tries to explain himself. Like yo, that like not just like like I know it sounds terrible when you put it out there, but on the overall long scheme of things, killing half the universe to save the other half will really be a big benefit to all of us. Like, I don't know what's total responsibility, so I'll do it. So just hand me the stones. It's at random. Like maybe a few people that you love will be dead, but it's at random, so no favoritism, all that kind of stuff. But Nebula, you're gonna waste the parts. I just find that line hilarious because he's so amicable to everybody else. He even has a really kind of mind. Has a really kind of cool scene where it's oh Stark, you're a strong fighter. Your conviction, I commend your resolve and your conviction. I hope they remember you. The remaining half humanity remembers you when this is all over. Nebula, you're a waste of parts. Again, he's just amicable to everyone that isn't Nebula. Again, all of his scenes with every character that isn't him fighting them are really amicable. He using that word. Basically, they're very chill. They're very chill scenes, very relaxed. He's basically trying to connect with them somewhat, but like from his detached position. Again, he's trying to daddy the universe. But Nebula, you're a waste of parts. I wonder if Nebula did something when she was a kid, just like they basically just was the shittiest child when she was a kid. And that's when Daniel's like, fucking Nebula, this piece of shit. That was a mistake. Adopting Nebula was a mistake. She's literally the worst child I ever have. And technically, I'm daddy of the universe. Okay, enough joking around about that. Again, this is something I find funny. How his attitude completely does a complete 180 on Nebula. And everyone else is like, yeah, okay. I'll try to connect with you somewhat slightly. I'll sympathize with you. I'll understand you. Fuck you, Nebula. I just find that so fucking funny for some reason. I can't put my finger on it. Okay, enough about Thanos. Let's talk about, the major players. Are there any other major main characters? It's Tony Stark, because now he's dealing with his whole issues. Doctor Strange, obviously. Basically, every Avenger character gets, a big major thing. The one character who gets the most shout and that isn't named Nebula is maybe Thor. Oh, well, it is Thor. Because, again, the movie starts out, remember Thor Ragnarok? Thor had lost his father, his homeland. A good majority of his people are fucking dead because of Hela. And, everything's gone. So all he has are the people and some new friends. He lost most of his friends. He has some new friends and some regular civilians. And he has decided to try to become a good king to protect his civilians and lead them to a new age on Earth so that, everybody can be nice and happy. Then Thanos comes up and kills everyone. It is literally a very heartbreaking scene at the very beginning, especially if if you really like Thor Ragnarok. We're just okay, Thor, you get to Earth and you take care of your people. It'll probably be some weird immigration issue somewhere, but you're basically God. I'm pretty sure you can do something to maybe make the Antarctic habitable for your group. But then Thanos is like, nope, kill everybody, steal the Tesseract. Kill your brother in a really heartbreaking scene, especially if you're like a Loki fangirl. He chokes the fuck out of Loki and just kills his ass with a snap neck. Like, dear God, I didn't expect that out of anything but DC. Heimdall stabbed in the stomach was like, how many? Like they say half the Guardians are dead, but they blew up the ship, and Thor was only barely alive when the Guardians found him. They didn't bring anyone else aboard their ship. So I have to imagine that Thor was the only one left, unless he just took the other Asgardians with him on his ship, in which case they're also probably dead, meaning Thor was literally the last Asgardian. And that's just, damn, Thor. Like like some simple, I just go to a blind murder Thanos rage, like in it, like basically like original comic Drax. We'll just run to run into a room, yell, "Where's Thanos?" That's basically Thor. Like after he gets his hammer, his new hammer or new axe, Stormbreaker, which is a Beta Ray Bill reference. Which I really do hope Beta Ray Bill shows up in the cinematic universe. I doubt that the Horseman alien would show up, especially considering the fact that Thor kind of needs Stormbreaker unless they make a new Stormbreaker, which considering the fact they broke the mold, probably not going to happen. Anyway, Peter Dinklage gets a guest spot as a dwarf, and not a dwarf, but kind of a giant dwarf, which sounds like an oxymoron, but it makes sense when you see it. Who is the Forger, and Thanos has killed literally all of his people and crushed his hands. It's like, dear God damn, man, shit, and basically him and Thor basically Thor when it's all over, like, all over, after part two. If everyone, like, if his people aren't brought back to life, your people aren't brought back to life, you two get together. He can't sit there all day at the forge. He needs people to be with, or he'll go insane. Uh, so, that's a pretty fun moment. It's good to see Groot back in, like, action. Well, there's a lot of jokes about teen Groot being an obnoxious teenager. They all eventually do pay off when he decides to get off his ass and do something. When he sees Thor literally dying in front of him, and then he helps out in a battle on Earth. Again, at least a funny moment where Steve Rogers and then Captain Bucky and Rocket Raccoon. Another thing is the fact that Thor and Rocket have a really really interesting relationship where it's like Rocket actually tries to be Thor's counselor for all of 5 minutes to because he sees that Thor's like, I'm gonna kill Thanos, I'm gonna kill Thanos. Like, are you okay? You need to talk. It's honestly a pretty touching scene between the two. And I want to talk for a quick second about the trailers for Infinity War. Because the trailers, like, ever since Thor Ragnarok, knew the trailers were kind of lying. Because, in the original trailers, they had Thor with two eyes. Then, after Thor Ragnarok, if you saw that movie, Thor lost an eye to make him, fit somewhat with Odin. And then, all the trailers, he had only one eye. But in this movie, again, he gets an eye back. Rocket gives him a cybernetic eye. So now he has two eyes, even though the colors are mismatched. And basically that was a sign that the trailers were kind of somewhat very liary. Like, basically the trailers, they do have a lot of scenes that are in the movie, but some scenes are altered or in a different original context. Like, basically any scene involving a Hulk that isn't the opener, because the Hulk does not show up again outside of a joke where Banner keeps trying to call him, but the Hulk just keeps saying no. Just like, it's honestly it's some funny scenes too, because Banner to running around in the Hulkbuster suit. It's honestly pretty funny watching him try to figure out how to use the damn thing. But we don't know why Hulk in particular is just standing on the sidelines throughout the whole conflict. Like, it might be because they only had enough budget to animate one CGI character, but considering that this has literally made all of the money. Black Panther made all of the money, and this is poised to make not as much, but some of that money. They obviously didn't have the budget. Like, basically, I mentioned this is part of Hulk's character arc going forward for Avengers 4. So yeah, that's happening. Other characters. Again, Vision gets a lot of really touching scenes, especially anything involving him and Scarlet Witch. All the characters interacting are all great. I don't want to go into everything because I still want you to see this movie, even though I just told you the overall basic plot. And so there's nothing left now to talk about but the controversial bits that everyone seems to disagree with or outright hate. So one of the major controversial bits is basically when everyone has Thanos pinned in a rather clever gambit. Star-Lord's one that fucks up when they're about to get the Infinity Gauntlet off because he hears that Thanos has killed Gamora because Thanos went to a planet and killed Gamora in his pursuit of the Soul Stone, because in order to get the Soul Stone he had to sacrifice a loved one to get it, to detach yourself from the physical realm. And that's actually part of a line that Wong made at the very beginning of the movie, how the physical, the distraction is spiritual. And so basically, the Soul Stone is Thanos' spirit quest. So basically he hears that Thanos has killed Gamora and just, flies off in a blind range, just starts beating on the guy with his gun, which, breaks Mantis's hold that was keeping him, still, and then, leads to more fighting. Now, a lot of people hate the scene because, Star-Lord fucks up, but honestly, if any character was going to fuck up, it was going to be Star-Lord. If only because Star-Lord is a pretty emotional character, he's an emotional person, and especially it basically remember Guardians 2. I love bringing up Guardians 2 because it's a good movie. Guardians 2 when freaking Ego admitted that he was the one that killed Peter's mother. Like Peter wasn't like fully onto context of what his dad was planning. He was just getting a hang of what his dad was planning. Didn't know the full content. Didn't know the genocide. He would stop him if it did lead to genocide. It would lead to genocide. But but he made off in line. I shouldn't have. It really hurt me put that to me. Your mother said like that immediately stopped Peter. Like you killed my mommy. And it's like if any character was going to break off from the overall plan and just go off in a blind range and just fuck up everything, it was going to be Star Lord because that's kind of how he is. He's literally just getting over the death of his mother. Has some issues that he's done with his father. So when he hears that, someone like imagine he would do this if any of the Guardians died. Like if they killed Groot, like Groot, no, you killed my tree son. When they killed Drax, like you killed one of my friends. They killed you killed my friend. Like, but it was Gamora, the woman that he loved, or they were starting to grow closer, starting to begin a bit of a thing. And I like the fact that they didn't really have a thing until technically Guardians 2, but it wasn't an official thing yet, and this one kind of cements them as having a thing, but not a spoken thing, like that joke he made in Guardians 2. They both admit that they do have strong feelings towards each other and are practically in love with each other. They're just not, keen on pulling that trigger just yet. Anyway, it makes sense for Peter to be the one to fly off in a rage at, a loved one's death because, he's still just getting over the death of his own mother. He still hasn't fully 100%. Like, he's processing it and he's almost there, but not like 100% there. And Doctor Strange. So basically, when Thanos has everybody pinned and he's about to kill Tony Stark, Thanos basically hands him the time stone, and that pretty much cements everybody's fucked. Because all he needs now is the Mind Stone, and even if they do destroy it, he can just time stone it back. So this is an interesting position of because Doctor Strange does peek into the future. He does this whole future vision thing where he sees about 1,400,000 potential futures in order to determine one where the group ultimately wins. And while he does say that the group only won in one of those, it's probably going to be a harsh thing to get to that one world line where they all win. So everybody, was really hating on Doctor Strange for just heading over the time zone. But again, the dude saw the pathway to the future, and I'm pretty sure he realized that if I didn't have a time stone, we're in the long term we're gonna lose this conflict with Thanos. But if I hand it over, long term we win, everybody is dead because bad life. Especially considering that they announced, Doctor Strange 2, Spider-Man Homecoming 2, Black Panther 2, that they already have all these sequels planned out. There's no way they're not going to make the money. Especially because they killed off Black Panther's movie and he literally made them all the money. His character is basically going to become the new Iron Man, face the Avengers, after, Robert Downey Jr. decides to step out. That's pretty obvious from, like, where I'm sitting. So their actions make sense for the characters. Like in terms of story, it's a really rational move, but for a character, especially for Star Lord, that makes 100% sense. And it makes sense for Doctor Strange to be as cryptic as all hell, and all that kind of stuff. Then I would talk more about character interactions because that's the whole big thing with the movie. But I want you to see this movie yourself to leave those bits in as a surprise. So another thing that everybody's really hitting on the ending where Thanos wins. We consider the fact that Avengers 4 is technically the part 2 of this. This is probably the only part 1 movie that I've ever seen that felt like its own complete movie instead of just like, oh, well, now I have to wait for the second part. Like, I have to wait for a second part with this. But, I'm somewhat satisfied with the way the movie itself actually is. While I wait for Avengers 4 to come out in next year. So so basically it's the only part 1 that I believe is worth it in terms of actually going to see, and instead of waiting for the sequel to come out and seeing both at the same time, back to back to back to back. Because much like Harry Potter, that was also a fault with it. that Deadly Hallows Part 1 and 2, that kind of crap. Anyway, Marvel Cinematic Universe right now. Half the universe is dead. Most of the Avengers are dead except for the original set of Avengers. The ones who did the Battle of New York. And, Ant-Man and Wasp, the movie's coming up. We don't know where that fits timeline-wise, but I imagine it takes place after this movie. So, they're around. We don't know where Hawkeye is, but I imagine he's still around because, they said it was off on a secret mission. Uh, the Guardians are all dead except for Rocket. Like, even Groot died. And, Maria Hill and Nick Fury, they're both dead. But before, at least the post-credits scene, before he ultimately dies, Nick Fury sends out and uses an old-ass pager to basically call forth Captain Marvel, who we don't know where the hell she is. But, her movie's set somewhere in the past, like the 1990s, so we'll be getting some answers about where the hell she was, or what she was doing, hopefully in that movie next year. So, I know I rambled on a bit, and I'm kind of going over my time right now. But either way, overall, I'd say if you're a fan of the Avengers or just any one character in the cinematic universe, as I said again, go see this movie. It's a fun, good time. And, well, yeah, it's a fun, good time of a movie. You'll see some really cool fight scenes. Really, really cool fight scenes. And, yeah, it's a really good movie. And you should all go see it. Like, I imagine this is the next big thing. Like, this is probably the best Avengers movie outside of the original Avengers, which is impossible to top. So, yeah. While it's not my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie, that's still the original Avengers. This one really ranks high up on my top 10 list. I'll probably make one of those somewhere down the line. But yeah, I'll see you all next vlog, and I hope all of you are having a good day today yourselves, or good night whenever you're watching this. And again, this is a really good movie, and if you haven't seen it yet, I do recommend you see it. If you have seen it, you have an excuse to go see it again because it's that good. And I'll see everybody next video. Till then, everybody.